Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're talking about a low empathy spouse. A low empathy spouse, maybe even a no empathy spouse. So what do you do when you have a low empathy spouse? Well, here are some tips that might help you. Number one, God made them that way. God has designed some people to have a lot of empathy, some people to have not much at all, and other people to have a middle level of empathy. So God in many ways made them that way, and or their circumstances as they grew up may have trained them to be cold and have no empathy. But whatever the case, that's the way they are, and you have to deal with it. Number two, you have to remember that you chose them. That's a crazy, scary thought, isn't it? I chose this person? Well, yes, we did. We chose our spouse. And so when we're getting married, we think everything is so wonderful. But 5 or 10 years down the road, when everything changes and we think, what have I done? We have to remember that we chose this spouse. And of course, that opposites attract. Opposites attract. So it's very common for someone with low to no empathy to marry someone who has high empathy. Okay, so these attract. Number three, you gotta remember the purpose of marriage. It's not for us to be happy and all, the bachelor and the bachelorette. It's not about that. The purpose of marriage is growth. And what does it take for some people to grow? It takes fire and it takes a threshing floor. So just remember that the purpose of marriage is to grow you up into Christ. It is not for you to be happy. It's not for you to be in love all the time. That is not the purpose. Number four, in your marriage, if you're the one who has empathy and your spouse does not or has low empathy, you need to get really be an expert with boundaries. You need to let that be your full-time pursuit because that's going to protect you from emotional brutality. When someone has a lot of empathy and they're married to someone who doesn't have a lot of empathy, the things that the low empathy person or the no empathy person says can feel like emotional brutality to the one who has a sensitivity and has mercy and empathy. So just be aware of that. If you're low or to no empathy and you're watching this and you have a spouse who is high empathy or mercy, be gentle with that spouse. You can really emotionally brutalize that spouse with your words and with your omission from things, okay? So, but for the one who has the my and the empathy, you want to use very strong boundaries because you're protecting your heart from being emotionally brutalized. And my heart was emotionally brutalized my entire life, and I just thought that life was really hard, and I always wondered how everyone else had it so easy. But the Lord showed me that this dynamic and many other things, and that I needed to protect my heart, okay? And now I do that. I didn't know how to do that before. Another thing you might need to do, and I had to do this many times, is to break soul ties with your spouse. And this is not a negative thing. This is a very positive thing. This can disengage you and unenmesh you from being entangled with them in some ways that you don't really want to be. It's a negative loop or connection or habit or something that you're in that keeps happening. You can break soul ties with them and then start over in a healthier way. And during the soul tie breaking, you can get a lot of healing. And then as you feel ready, kind of come back and attach to your spouse. But don't think that just because you're married to someone that you have to feel like you're in love with them. They can feel like an enemy for many, many years. And that's okay because God is teaching you and training you and growing you up in the Lord. Okay? Now, number 5 is your spouse. Again, your spouse, not you. Your spouse can choose to learn empathy skills. Do you know they teach classes on this? They have classes and seminars on how to have empathy, how to show empathy. Why? Because it makes money. The people feel connected to you. They want to come back. They want to buy your product. It's all money driven, but it could probably also help the psychiatrists and the psychologists to help their patients grow and heal. But that would always go back to the money. But that is their choice. That choice to get skills, develop skills for empathy is their choice. It is not your choice. It is theirs. You can, if you feel led, present that to them. And you got to be ready for them to say no, remember, because they don't have a lot of empathy. So why would they want to develop empathy skills? But that's just between you and the Lord. You may want to, share that or not. Number 6, you can connect regularly. This is what you can do. This is powerful. This is what can save you. This and this. You can connect regularly and deeply with others who have empathy. Yes, go to the people who have empathy if you need empathy. If your spouse doesn't have it, don't go to your spouse. You're going to the hardware store for milk. They don't have empathy, don't go to them for empathy. Go where the empathy is. Okay? I have a lot. There are a lot of people all around who have it. Just go find those people. The more deeply you connect with them, the better. Okay? The more deeply you connect with them in their empathy, the better. So number 7 is you can learn to grieve and accept your situation. You can learn to grieve and accept it. You're grieving the spouse you thought you married, but they're not what you thought. The spouse that you really need, the spouse that you have that is so painful. You grieve all those things, and the more you grieve, the less you're going to hurt. And then you come over time to accept the situation and say, okay, Lord, I don't like this. I'm not comfortable in this relationship, but I'm going to trust you, and I'm going to watch you do your work, your wonderful work in our relationship, and especially in me, because I know you're growing me up. And the biggest point is that your spouse is not your life source. Your spouse is not your life source. Life source is the Lord. So that's where you want to go for mercy, for comfort, for empathy. You want to go vertical because He's the God of all comfort, remember? That's your life source. And then connecting with other people who have empathy. That will be very stabilizing for you. And then when you're with your spouse, you need to get better and better at boundaries. Become an expert in boundaries, not just knowing about it. And not just letting it fall down into your heart, but doing it, making it a reality for you. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. I've lived for married 32 years and been together for 39 years with a low empathy boyfriend, and I didn't know that until after we were married. And so it's just a situation you find yourself in. It's not really bad or good. It's actually a super opportunity for the Lord to grow you up into Christ. So try to grieve it and accept it, and remember these points and do them, and you'll be okay. All right, I'll see you next time.